Hey, and welcome to the main case study. So this is one of my biggest campaigns. It's spread out over the last 7 months to be exact, and there's tons to take away from this as you move forward. I think you'll get a lot of information to use in your own business, no matter what niche you're in. So we're going to walk through the campaign from when I got the idea to where it is now. And there were actually totally 18 campaigns and over 1,100 ads. It was a big campaign. So it's best just to get an overhead view for now and look at the campaign at 4 different stages and how things progressed over the period of 30, 60, and 120 days, and now it's 7 months later. And what I'm doing today as a result of what I learned from this campaign. So let's get right into it. So how the design came together is I just took a couple images that I had saved in my idea folder, and I saw this quote in the image right here and knew my audience would at least appreciate it. And I didn't know how to put it on a shirt. That's a lot of words. So I told him to put it, do it like this shirt. Just told him to combine the two. It was a quick message. Take this, make something out of it, and try a lotus in the center, a lotus flower. And that's how that went. So after he, did his thing, let's see. This was the first version he sent back to me. I didn't think it was going to cut the mustard. So I asked him to, try a couple more versions. I think I asked him to do a spiral and one other version. So he tried the spiral, and obviously he actually messaged me and said that was pretty hard and it didn't look very good. So we stopped there. But he had done another version while doing that one, and it was the one we ended up using. These are the ones he first started out with. I ended up changing the text to white and keeping the center of that color. But this was actually the first one that he came back with, and so I launched it on Teespring. And here is that campaign right here. It did okay. It didn't do 1,400 or almost 1,500 before the necklace, but about 500 of those have been since I started the necklace. The profit margin wasn't as good as the necklace. It was a great shirt. It was just a circle, and so that's why I tried it on the necklace, to be honest. It was just one of those things, and it worked out. Okay, here's an overhead view of the 4 stages I was talking about. Now, in the first 30 days, here's the numbers sold and the gross profit right here. Here's how much I spent on ads and the net profit and the return on investment, the ROI. You can see from 30 to 60 and on down how the ROI drops. And in my opinion, it wasn't ever like amazingly high. 200% is awesome, but I would have never thought right then possibly that I was still going to be able to run ads to it 7 months later. And obviously it is a lot slower these days. It costs more to make a conversion, but we will go over each of these stages, look at the ads, and break down how what data I used to scale up. And actually the strategy kind of changed from here to here a little bit, because most of the time I was on the old Pixel course back here, and now today I'm using the new Pixel. There's a few things changed and some new things I can look at also. Okay, so here's the campaign in the first 30 days from August 5th to September 5th. And I can tell you I started out with 2 ads. One was a PPE ad, which was this one right here. Nothing fancy. And I also started out with a website conversion ad. I already had, you can see the ad there, I already had really good lookalike audiences to target. So the targeting was very easy. I just plugged in a custom lookalike audience. So I believe I started the PPE ad and the WC ad the same day. Okay. within 10 minutes. And after a month, the website conversion ad actually, it kind of slowed down some on the conversions, and I think I ended up starting to kill ads. You can see the way I actually broke up my campaigns back then. I still do now, just not such extremes, but is 1 year age groups per ad set. And I would hit it at $1 to $5 depending on. And if it proved to convert, like this one right here, I would just duplicate it. And that's how I would scale up inside of the campaign. And that just allows Facebook to hit that audience in smaller sections, and then it hits a bigger portion of the audience in a shorter period of time. So being that I already had the lookalike audience, a very seasoned conversion pixel back then, there wasn't much testing except, does the design work? Do they like it? Because I knew I had a good audience. And, we went over that in the other part of the course. Initially, I did have to start out with interest and stuff. And actually, I might have targeted some interest in this one. But for the most part, no, I did, I think, in the next 60-day section. But anyhow, I also had a retargeting ad. Let me find that. Okay, and I started that, looks like about 8 days into it, once I built up the traffic audience. Obviously, in my opinion, I was just being lazy, because you should fire that up right away. Conversions were great. Less than $4 per conversion, $25 a day. I reached 50,000 people on the retargeting ad that first month, so there was some good traffic. So, being that the PPE ad was working out so well, let's see. I want to look at, I'm pretty sure I just did mobile newsfeed, but I want to make sure. Okay, yeah, I just targeted mobile newsfeed, probably because at the time my shirts were all converting well at that placement, so I was just used to doing that in my business at the time. Like I said, I was kind of seasoned in this particular niche even at that time. But getting there, I did have to do a lot of testing just to get the conversion pixel, the lookalike audiences, and to be able to just, pick up, and I have all that data to begin with and roll into it. And, pretty much basically the first 2 ads I fired up were profitable. Or the first 3 if you look at the retargeting campaigns. But had I did a little bit more testing, I probably would have found out there was a lot more placements that would have converted well, because shortly, on into the campaign period, I actually used right-hand side ads a lot, and we'll look into that. Being that all this data is going to just accumulate into the next section in the 60 days, let's just move on over there and we can kind of look at more history, and I'll show you how I actually scaled up and added some new campaigns and moved some stuff around and amped it up a little bit as far as the ad spend. So moving into the 60-day period, you can see that the amount sold just about doubled, and the amount spent practically doubled, and the profit doubled. And the ROI, it stayed around the same. But let's look at the campaign. Now, looking at the campaign at the 60-day stage, I only accumulated up to 7 campaigns, and I believe most of them just kept carrying forward. I never killed a campaign, but what we didn't get into in the first 30-day period was, why I broke down the ad sets per age group. And that's because I can break up the audience into these little portions, and the little portion that doesn't work, I can see that and just
kill it right there. So that's what I was doing back then with little $1 and $5 budgets. And when an ad set wasn't performing, I killed it. And when it was doing well, I would just duplicate it. Sometimes I would duplicate that ad set and keep the budget the same and maybe duplicate it 1, 5, 10 times. And sometimes I would duplicate it and, make the budget higher. But typically I would just duplicate that campaign if it was duplicate the ad set. If it was a $5 a day ad set, I could duplicate it 10 times and then I would have $50 a day on that particular age group. If you get what I'm saying. So you can see, let me break it down, let's see, in order here. So, for example, ages 59, I noticed was doing well. Let's look at how well. I'm really not sure what I was thinking there, but okay, yeah, that was a duplicate. So what I was doing was the 59 was performing pretty well, and I would just go through and find all the ones on a daily check that were performing, and I would check if it was a good ad set, and I would just duplicate it. See, sometimes I would do it, 3, 4, 5 times. And 2 or 3, if I did it out of, 5 ad sets, would probably perform around the same and keep going. So that $5 turned into $15 a day, and I didn't raise the budget and throw off my campaign's optimization. And that's still true today. Definitely duplicate when you're trying to raise a budget on a successful ad set. Don't just change the budget, for sure. From the first 30-day stage, we had the PPE and the website conversion ad, and all I did was, I can see here that this was a successful campaign, and I had duplicated a lot of stuff inside of that, and just testing it out, I actually duplicated the campaign. So over that period, you can see that's the 60-day graph there for that one, and when I duplicated it, it actually it stayed. It was comparable, but these days I don't recommend actually duplicating a campaign because it can kind of throw off, your other campaign because you're competing against yourself. So just duplicate the ad sets inside of a campaign, and you kind of keep your optimization and the ball rolling. And let's look at what else happened. I started testing out individual interests. Let me see here if I can bring that one up. And I just plugged in audience insights, and I found, some hot interests. And I broke it down, same campaign, 1 interest per ad set. Started out at $5 a day. And again, just as I broke it down in ages, and duplicated the successful ad sets, I did the same here. And on the old Pixel, it didn't track not near as well as the new Pixel, especially on an engagement ad, because it's not tracking shares and stuff like that. When somebody shares this post, and their friend buys it, or whoever sees it and they click on it and buy it, and it's not the ad, it's the share. Facebook didn't track that back then. It's not going to track it right now either, but you can actually, the gap's a lot closer than it used to be. Okay. So the retargeting ad, that doesn't look right. I think in the 30-day period, I just left it at lifetime on the on the time frame we were looking at it. So we were looking at, however long that retargeting ad ran. But you can see in the beginning, in the first 60 days, it was actually a lot cheaper per conversion. I think it was almost $4 when we were looking at it earlier over the lifetime of that campaign. But it was actually, within the first 60 days, still at under $2. And all I did on that was free shipping. I just followed up with them with a free shipping ad. We looked at it earlier, but I don't have it up this time. So that's it. I just kind of blew it up so they could see the actual design, and then stuck it, so they could see it's a necklace as well with that graphic on the right. Very simple. Get free shipping now. I am Mantra Necklace. I didn't, recognize that they'd stopped by the site. It's just top of their mind, and it worked very well. So, it wasn't a hustle and grind to find winners and scale up real big. I took this kind of slow, looking at different angles. I was testing the $1 and $5 ad sets, during this beginning time, and I could have amped this up quite a bit by this time, and but you can see it just stayed consistent over the span of 6-7 months. This is a campaign that if I had started out with very little money, no problem at all to scale it up, because it was so profitable that by the time Facebook was going to bill my credit card, and you request a payout on GearBubble, all in the same account, it all connects, and you can just keep the ads flowing and scaling up as you make more and get further away from your bottom line.
All right, and moving from the 60 days, we're going to just look at another 60-day period and see how things progressed over 120 days. And the ROI, I said it stayed the same earlier. It still dropped, that's still about 20% there. And it dropped quite a bit more through the next 60-day period. However, I was still impressed by its longevity and continued to break down and duplicate campaigns, ad sets, and trying out several new things. So I believe on the last one I almost doubled my campaigns here, a little bit more than doubled my campaigns over that time period. And so from October 5th to December 5th, somewhere between that time, I started running the right-hand side ads, and I believe it was just straight up shipping, free shipping. Let me find that ad. Okay. And you can see I ended up duplicating it a lot up just to that point. Well, you can see over the lifetime of the campaign. So it's not set at the dates it was on the other tab. But it ran all the way up to over $18,000 just on this one campaign. And it was just right-hand side ads. And what I was doing was manual bidding instead of using automatic bidding. And you can see manual 30, manual 50, and I believe I would do manual. So I was bidding $30 per conversion, $15 per conversion, and I think what happened was the $5 bids didn't do too well. They didn't actually, Facebook didn't show my ads, and they were just kind of sitting there, and I left some of them on for a long time. If this is the one, they just didn't perform very well. So that's why I broke up the budgets so I would know which budget was performing, so we could see.
about $30 bid and $15 bid. You can see them all mixed in. It just depends on the audience, and you can hit that age group. If I didn't do that, with all three bids, $5, $15, $30, $10, $20, $30, however you want to break it up. And it depends on, their suggested bid. And I typically want to bid over Facebook's suggested bid. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we can move over to Power Editor. I have this, I believe it's a different campaign, but it was set up almost the same with $15 and $30 manual bidding with the audiences. I think what I did here was took some of the info and ages out of that other campaign and tried to play with it by itself in a different campaign. But here's all the info. This is what I was doing. I had the old pixel, and you see this was one pixel that I used for all my sales. So it was really optimized. And so Facebook was helping me out a lot at the time, but I can see what I was doing. I was trying to test out higher budgets per ad set. And so you can see I was using custom audiences, lookalike audiences. This is the buyers. I just made a 1% and a 1 to 2% lookalike audience, and I combined it with the traffic pixel. So that was 1%, and then there was a 2%. So that actually kind of competes against itself. But I would bunch it all together, and of course I picked out the ages here. I left it wide open. I might not have meant to do that, honestly. And getting to the manual bidding here. So usually we're right here. You can see I haven't been using this pixel, and it's not even active. But usually you can do automatic bidding, and it's easier than Facebook does. It works. But I was testing out the manual bidding, and you can see the suggested bid for this audience is $26.44 to $33.90 per conversion, per result. So it wasn't that high at the time. It's got a lot higher. It wasn't that high at the time, but you can find different pockets in your audience by bidding manually at different levels. So I was, trying out the 5, 15, 30. You can do $10 per conversion, $20 conversion, $30 conversion, and you can go up and down. But I was able to break down my audiences like I was doing throughout this period and kind of find which what bid was great for that particular audience. And also I was able to find, the different ranges of the bid, or the different pockets of that audience. And $15 manual bids worked, and $30 manual bids worked, but they didn't work equally, of course. But since I broke it down in different ad sets, it was just an individual ad set. If it worked, I would scale up on that. If it didn't, I would kick it out. And that's how I'm still doing things today, just a little differently, especially with the new Pixel. But that's just kind of preview of manual bidding and what I was doing on this particular right-hand side campaign. There was some auto in there, but I believe that's how I took this campaign and spent almost, over $18,000 on it, was because I did the automatic bidding and I did the different levels of manual bidding. And this is kind of this was when I was turning on ads and selling it just like it was the first month. And I was surprised by that, but it was the manual bidding, automatic bidding, hitting the audience at every angle I could with the most successful ads. But I just wanted to give you a peek at that what I was playing with on that manual bidding, and I'm still using that today. And I still use automatic bidding, and I still use the manual bidding. It works different for every audience, and it all works throughout the audience, if you know what I'm saying. Everything works for some part of your audience, to be honest. If you can break it down, you can actually find where it works. So moving on, this was the 18,000. Let me make sure if I did do $5 bidding, because I thought I did, but it might have started that later. It might just be so far down here because Facebook orders everything, and they didn't spend too much. A lot of ad sets. This didn't take long. I probably started out with about 41 ad sets. No, probably less. But you could see how many 45 to 54. I was just duplicating, and it continued to work because of the tiered bidding, auto and manual, and different. Yeah, see, there's no $5 bids, and the different manual bidding. So going back, that was just the first. I was going to see when I started that, actually, November 24th. So, right, wow. No. Let's see. I spent a lot before December 5th. So, November 16th, I fired up this right-hand side website conversion campaign. And yeah, I was totally on right-hand side, desktop computers only. So that was the hottest one pretty much. Even after, we'll look at it, where it ended up. The interest ads kept going. And you see restart here. What would happen sometimes, I don't know if it's Facebook updates or just the time was running out, and the ROI would drop on my campaign. I would either get too close for comfort to breaking even, or maybe even lose a little bit, and I would end up turning off the campaign. And a few days later, I would just turn the campaign back on, and it would continue like nothing ever happened. It was weird, but didn't happen that way for every campaign, so it's not the way it works. But it was just little things throughout the period of this entire necklace campaign up to this point that some things were surprising, some things were things I found out and could scale up on, and I looked at this campaign every day. I woke up in the morning and I dug down deep into every campaign. I would look at it within the past 14 days, 7 days, and then I would look at it today, yesterday, and I would determine what I did and how long that ad set had been running uninterrupted, and if it had enough time to pick up some momentum, I would of course duplicate it. Or if it did have time to pick up momentum and it was not converting well, of course you get rid of it. So up through December 5th, what was working on this campaign? Page post engagement, mobile news feed, website conversion, right-hand side desktop, pretty much anything. It was just dependent upon the angle. So the page post engagement ad was always just that simple graphic. I'll open one up. It was that one the whole time. And I did change up the ad a little bit, And I think I said this, but here is the $5 bidding. That's a different campaign, I believe. Weird. It wasn't showing to me earlier. It might not be in that time period. I'm not sure. But anyway, here, let's look at that ad set. Now, a lot happened in this campaign, and I can still dive back in it and really sometimes not understand what was going on, just because I can't look at everything in one view. Like, I don't know when I stopped this ad exactly. I can kind of pick that up, but I can't see everything about this ad from when I turned it on, when I stopped it, and the actions I took on a daily basis. It's hard to dig down deep and remember what was happening, but we can kind of look at how things progressed, and this was what the ad looked like. And I believe this was totally free shipping. Yep, okay, we looked at this ad earlier. It might have been a different background. I think that's what I changed the background and enlarged this a little bit, if you remember from the 60-day period. So the manual bidding is what took this campaign from kind of slowing down at 60 days to 90 days, and just after that period of almost, maybe this isn't going to go very much longer, it found a whole new, it doubled, right there at the, we're going to look at from December 5th through the end of the year. I haven't sold a whole lot this year, and I'm starting